Welcome to E4E Hub's another video, and in this we will be looking at IELTS Writing Task 2, particularly Task 2 question from Cambridge IELTS book number 8. Yeah, and that's the question that you see on the screen, and let me just read it out so that we are all clear and on the same page, right? Nowadays, the way people interact with each other has changed because of technology. In what ways has technology affected the types of relationships people make? So that's part 1 of the question. Part 2, has this become a positive or negative development? So we have to basically answer 2 parts. The first part I will be highlighting in yellow. So that's part number 1. And what's the second part? The second part is part number 2. Yeah. So in what ways has technology affected types of relationships people make? The thesis statement in the question, nowadays the way people interact with each other has changed because of technology. So there are changes brought about by technology in a way that we interact, we connect, we forge relationships with people and also maintain existing relationships with people. Yeah. So first part, this is part number 1, and this is how has technology changed the types of relationships people make. When I say types of relationships, now relationships can be categorized in a number of ways. We can either categorize relationships according to the media, face-to-face relationships, personal relationships, virtual relationships. Or we can also categorize the types of relationships according to where we form or maintain relationships. Like it can be everyday relationships, social relationships, education relationships, so relationships when forged or maintained at a place where we go to learn something. Or it can be business relationships, so relationships for business purpose. So that's the types of relationships that they are talking about. And the next part is part number 2. Has this become a positive or negative development? This particular part, we have to give our opinion as to whether we think it has been positive or negative. Now, what has become positive? The changes brought about by technology, have they been positive or have they been more negative than positive? So that's the one part, is the opinion, and this part is basically just listing. So how has technology changed the way we make relationships or the types of relationships that we make? So this is more or less going to be a factual list, so to speak, as far as the technology affecting our everyday relationships, our educational relationships, or relationships between student and teachers, and relationships in business. So again, let's start to brainstorm the essay around what we are asked to do. So how has technology changed how we connect or interact with people? Brainstorm around that part of the story. And the key word here is how, the types of relations. So, we could easily break that down into, so we connect with people in social environment or everyday situations. So first, let me put that down. Social bracket, everyday situations. Then we also connect or forge relationships in education. So that's education or educational situation. And finally, Most important of all, business. So business situations. Yeah? Now let's think about some scenarios or how our everyday situations have changed. First, in everyday, I think emails or instant messaging apps have replaced physical letters or faxes. That's a very important trend nowadays, that we have, emails. So emails, instant messaging apps replaced letters and faxes. Yeah. What's another change that have been brought about? And I think we can support the same point by looking at an example of how this trend has developed. So how young people prefer channels like Facebook, Twitter, and others to bond. Now, what about education? Now, as far as education is concerned, so we can talk about channels like, I think, Skype or Google Hangouts. They have redefined how teachers and students interact or meet. Yeah? So that's an important development in the world of communication and technology. And what about business? Now, business, there are several points, but we need to stick to the most important or significant developments in the way we forge relationships and things like that. So in business, I think the most important is video conferencing. So how video conferencing helps us to conduct online meetings or training programs. Online meeting, training programs, etc. So we can see how, we are talking about separate dimensions. We have to be absolutely relevant to the question that we are asked to get a high band score in task response. So types of relationships, we are talking about social relationships, we are talking about educational relationships, we are talking about business relationships. That's more or less a body one. So this entirely will have to be our first body paragraph, because that's the first question that we have to answer. What about body 2? Now, I think the second question is more to do with, has it been a positive or a negative development? So we have to give our opinion there. So has it been a positive or negative? Have these changes affected our lives positively or negatively? So that's what we have to give our opinion on. But it can be an extreme side, or it can be something which is neutral, which is quite on the fence. You're not choosing one or the other, but a combination of the both. It has positive in addition to negative factors. Now, in this way, I think I see a lot of positive impact on our life. So I would rather be extreme about the way how technology have affected us positively, and it's not all been so negative. But still, we'll have to talk about, some people argue it's been negative, but I feel it's more, it has more benefits than disadvantages. That's my opinion. But still, to highlight that particular contrast, I'll have to talk about the counter view. And what's the counter view? Some agree or some argue. So some people argue that it's been negative. These change brought about by technology in the way we communicate, way we connect, way we interact has been negative and not positive. And why? So why they think it's negative? First, they feel that there's obsession. So obsession or overuse of virtual channels, and this will lessen face-to-face or personal contact, a personal interaction. That's what they feel. Yeah. And an extension maybe, we may use all the points, we may not, but it's good to just brainstorm the ideas around it. Yeah? So feel isolated in real group settings. So this may lead to us feeling isolated even in real group settings. So that's what people who hold a counter view may use these points to justify their view. So let's talk about what's my view, what's my side of the story. Yeah? So I feel it has been a positive. It has been a positive impact. And why so? First of all, obviously, the obvious point is convenience. To be in touch, convenience to be in touch with people, especially from different geographies and culture. That's a very important point. We couldn't have interacted or connected with people from all over the world, having different lifestyles, different cultures, had we not have come across such technological changes in the way we communicate. Yeah. So that is one. What about other? It's since we are able to connect with people, it has increased our tolerance levels and sensitivity towards other cultures. And how can we support something? How can we support these 2 points? How can we support the positive impact? We can talk about a survey. So let's say survey result of potential immigrants, they feel easy to connect with natives. So people who are about to move to different countries for work or for other reasons, they feel it easy to connect with the native. Yeah? So it's like it's easy to absorb or immerse oneself in the new communication just because. So I think that's good. So this, let me just use a different colored pen. So this could be a short body 2. So this could be a counter view where I explain or justify why people think it's been negative. It's not my view, but I still have to be broad-minded and talk about them. And this This could then be what's my view or my opinion of things before I conclude. So that's what I think, but I still have to talk about negative as well before I highlight, so that my view is emphasized and highlighted more. And let's talk about conclusion. So how can we conclude? Now conclusion here, it's not going to be a two-sided conclusion or a neutral conclusion. It's more or less going to be a one-sided conclusion. Yeah. So changes brought about by tech have enhanced the connection between people, and those people I'm talking about social, I'm talking about educational, and I'm talking about business context. Yeah, so it's good to mention that in the conclusion as well. But we must be careful not to become addicted to the virtual channels, the modern day communication platforms that have made our lives easier. We must not be addicted to them. Otherwise, it can be a bane and not a boon. So now I think we have a good enough plan. How has tech changed how we connect or interact with people in social, in educational, and in business situations? So these are the support points, the details which reinforce each dimension of relationships that we have. So that's our body 1. Then the body 2 will be relatively shorter than body 3 because it's discussing the counter view and the points justifying the counter view. Then I transition to the body 3, which I talk about the positive aspects of technology, or why I feel it's been more positive than negative. And it's talking about convenience, it's talking about increase in sensitivity and tolerance for separate cultures, for distinct cultures, and finally a reinforcement given by an example of a survey where potential immigrants felt the modern day communication platforms made it easy for them to bond with natives or native people. Finally, the conclusion still, they have enhanced the way we connect with people in social, educational, business, but we must be careful not to become addicted. So let's think about a good introduction before we, so let me just come here and think about a nice direct introduction which is neutral. So the first sentence will be the paraphrase of the question itself. So let me just write that down. It is undoubtedly true that the nature of interpersonal, the nature of interpersonal communications, or the way people interact, paraphrase interpersonal communication, has seen a step change. Why? Due to advances in technologies. Now I'll have to take a side because the second part I'll have to generally answer the question. So I've answered this. I've answered this post. Now I'll have to generally answer this question as well. And I think a contrasting structure will work best. So many feel Many feel that most of this change. How about paraphrasing change? So forget most of this impact. So many feel most of this impact has been negative. Semicolon. However, so that's the contrast. However, now I'll say what I feel. Many people feel otherwise. I have a different opinion. Yeah. So my personal belief is that technology driven aspects or elements driven by technology have enriched the way we exchange ideas and make connections. Yeah, so this exchanging ideas, making new connections is nothing but paraphrasing relationships, building relationships. Yeah. So my personal belief is that technology-driven aspects have enriched the way we exchange ideas and make connections. It could be new connections or existing connections. So that's what an introduction paragraph is. It's a nice introduction. It gives a general answer to what is asked in the essay question. Has this been a positive or negative? It clearly answers. So my personal belief is that it has enriched, means it's a positive development. Not everything has been negative, though many people feel it's been negative. Now we'll have to talk about, let's go back to our plan. So let's follow the plan one by one. So my plan, first we have to talk about the effect of technology on the way we communicate, the changes brought about by technology in the way we interact with people in social, educational and business situations. So this body paragraph, it's mostly going to give ideas about how technology has affected social, educational and business situations. So the first sentence has to have that. So innovation led by science and technology has brought changes in the way people connect with each other in social, educational and business environment. So environment context is a high level word for environment. In business context, the sentence that follows this topic sentence should be related to everyday situations, social situations. Yeah? How can we do that? Let's use a passive structure for that. So in our day-to-day situations, in our day-to-day situations, so emails and instant messaging. So this is we can see how emailing and do not write apps, because apps is a short form. Complete form is application. So emailing and chatting applications have almost completely replaced or substituted, both can go. Yeah, almost is important because still people post letters or postcard. Letters and facsimiles. Yeah, so this faxes is a short form. It's a contracted form used in conversational English, academic English, no contraction. So we, instead of faxes, we use facsimiles. And I think we have to follow this with an example about younger generation. Yeah? The clearest example of this trend can be seen. Okay, so this is not dearest, it's clearest. Clearest example of this trend. This is a cohesive linking device which is talking about the replacement of letters and facsimiles by chat and email programs. So clearest example of this trend can be seen in how younger and younger and older generation alike prefer to bond with new peers using Facebook. F has to be caps because it's a name of an application. Using Facebook, and again capital letter, using Facebook and Twitter. The next point has to be about educational situations. This is done. Now educational situations. Moreover, services such as Skype and Google Hangouts have opened new avenues for delivering virtual classes online. And compound sentence. So mix simple sentences with complex with compound sentences, and redefined how teachers and redefine how teachers interact teachers interact with students, and vice versa. Nice build up to this body paragraphs. First, we talked about social relationships. This particular sentence is talking about educational relationships. The last one will have to be about business situations, video conferencing, online meetings, and things like that. Yeah. For a nice way, so we'll have to use an apposition. Let's choose an apposition. So for those who work and operate their own. So this point is about businessmen or some professionals, somebody who's working or operating their own business. For those who work and operate their own business, the advent of video conferencing has made conducting online meetings with people. So instead of people with professionals will be a nice collocation in the context of online meeting with professionals from different countries convenient. So it has made it convenient and instantaneous. Be careful of the spelling. Instantaneous. I hope that's correct. Yes, I do. For those who work and operate their own business, the advent of video conferencing has made conducting online meetings with professionals from different countries convenient and instantaneous. That's the first body paragraph about the different types of relationships affected by technology. Innovation led by science technology has brought changes in the way people connect with each other in social, educational, and business contexts. So that's directly relevant to what we are asked by the question. So we are absolutely on the right track. Now let's move to the next body paragraph, and that body paragraph is going to talk about negative aspects brought about by, or at least people who hold the counter view. It's not my view, but some people do hold the counter views. A nice way to start a body paragraph about counter opinion is a downside to this trend. This trend is the trend in changes in communication brought about by technology. A downside to this trend as the traditionalist So a downside to this trend, as the traditionalists point out, that's a nice subordinate clause. So it leads to a complex sentence, a nice way to start, is that at times people get so obsessed people get People get so obsessed with using social networking sites and applications that's not that they might lose opportunities to see their friends and family members. In person. So that's so nice. A downside to this trend, as the traditionalists point out, is that at times people get so obsessed with using social networking sites and applications that they might lose opportunities to see their family members and friends in person. According to them, if rampant use of online modes of interaction continues, it may lead to complete isolation to the point that people would start feeling alien in real group gatherings. It may lead to complete isolation to the point that they may start feeling alien in real group gathering. So this are some negative points against the changes brought about by technology. So that's talking about the counter view. Yeah, that's talking about the counter view. So these are the 3 points that it's talking about. Now it's going to have a major chunk of positive impact. So it's my view. So I'll have to basically change. I'll have to transition from a negative to positive. So I have to use a natural marker of some sort. Yeah. Contrary to the above. So contrary to the above view, which is held by traditionalists, someone who doesn't believe in modern forms of communication, I believe that it is difficult to overlook the positive impact modern communication platforms have had on our life. I believe that it is difficult not to acknowledge the positive impact modern communication platforms. So another paraphrase for saying social networking sites or applications, modern communication platforms have had on our lives. It's a nice topic sentence. The topic sentence itself makes it clear that it's going to talk about the positive impact modern communication platforms have. So let's again head to our plan. Convenience to be in touch with people from different cultures and geographies. So most important benefit of all is that it has become so much more convenient to stay connected with people from different cultures. So to cite an example, a single a single Facebook group allows us to communicate with people from distant culture who share and it's also interesting. So this point, increased our tolerance levels and sensitivity to other cultures. Furthermore, it is also interesting to note that the online channels have increased our intercultural sensitivity and tolerance, intercultural sensitivity and tolerance. So, the understanding that we have of different cultures has also increased. And I think a nice end to this paragraph would be using an example of a survey. A survey conducted by the BBC revealed that potential immigrants found it easy found it easy to connect with. And hence led to an overall positive feeling about the process of moving to a new country. So, a survey conducted by the BBC revealed that potential immigrants found it easy to connect with the natives and hence led to an overall positive feeling about the process of moving to a new country. So, it really helped them, reduce their negative influences or emotions that are connected to when we are about to move to a new country. Now, I think that's a great long paragraph talking about what's my opinion. It's very clear that this is talking about my perspective. So that's nice. Now it's time to conclude, and the conclusion is very clear. All in all, I am of the opinion that the modern day communication facilitated. I'm of the opinion that modern day communication facilitated by technological innovations have largely enhanced the way we forge, nice collocation, forging relations. We forge new relationships in social, educational, and business environments. They have largely enhanced the way we forge new relationships in social, educational, and business environments. But we must be careful not to turn this advantage into addiction. So that's a conclusion in favor of technological developments that have improved communication. So this is the third body paragraph, which is talking about the positive impact the communication have had, or communication facilitated by technology have had, and the different aspects related to that. This is the short second body paragraph, which is talking about the counter view or the counter opinion that some traditionalist might have, And that's largely to do with the obsession that social networking sites and applications that might have on our lives. And the first body paragraph is talking about the first part. How has technology affected the types of relationships, connections, interactions that we make? And this is the introduction. Let's look at the first body paragraph. Innovation led by science and technology has brought changes in the way people connect with each other in social, educational, and business contexts. In our day-to-day situations, we can see how emailing and chatting applications have almost completely replaced letters and facsimiles. The clearest example of this trend can be seen in how younger and older generation alike prefer to bond with new peers using Facebook and Twitter. Moreover, services such as Skype and Google Hangouts have opened new avenues for delivering virtual classes online and redefined how teachers interact with students and vice versa. For those who work and operate their own business, the advent of video conferencing has made conducting online meetings with professionals from different countries convenient and instantaneous. That's good. A downside to this trend, as the traditionalists point out, is that at times people get so obsessed with using social networking sites and applications that they might lose opportunities to see their family members and friends in person. According to them, if rampant use of such online modes of interaction continues, it may lead to complete isolation to the point that they may start feeling alien in real group gatherings. Contrary to the negative factors highlighted above, I feel that it is difficult not to acknowledge the positive impact modern communication platforms have had on our lives. Most important benefit of all is that it has become so much more convenient to stay connected with people from different cultures. To cite an example, a single Facebook group allows us to communicate with people from distinct cultures who share common interests. Furthermore, it is also interesting to note that online channels have increased our intercultural sensitivity and tolerance. A survey conducted by the BBC revealed that potential immigrants found it easy to connect with the natives and hence led to an overall positive feeling about the process of moving to a new country. All in all, I'm of the opinion that modern day communication facilitated by technology innovations largely enhance the way we forge new relationships in social, educational, and business environments, but we must be careful not to turn this spoon into addiction. I hope this whole video of brainstorming ideas, writing, and proofreading the essay would be helpful for you, or it might have given you good insight into the whole essay writing IELTS Task 2. I thank all of you who have joined me. Take care. Happy learning as always.